Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the Bullpen today, I have Mr. Bill White, CEO, Constellations Group's chairman and CEO of Buckhead City Committee. Good day, sir, welcome.
Dr. Richey, how are you, sir? Great to
I'm
be
doing quite well, man. You know, there are a lot of people who are watching this across the country and outside of the country. They may not be aware of what's happening in Atlanta, Georgia, and some other cities, to be quite honest with you, where there's an existing city and a certain group from that city would like to leave the city and then create their own city. And typically these movements, I can go from Stockbridge and beyond, are primarily white residents or the white community in a majority black city or a more diverse city. And so it obviously the optics of it brings significant ridicule. But you're saying this is about the spike in crime. So if you would tell viewers what you all are doing in this divorce proceeding from the city of Atlanta and why.
Well, thank you. And I understand why that unfortunately seems to be the case. But I think the families in Buckhead who are, I think we are the most diverse community in the city of Atlanta. We are, by the latest census numbers, a little over 20% African American. And we have for many years felt that we have not really had a seat at the table, Rashad, and it's been a very difficult thing for a lot of the families. I'm new to the area. My husband and I moved here about 3 years ago, and I'm a marriage guy. I've been married to the same person for 21 years, so I believe in marriage. I think you work things out. You try your hardest to stay in love and keep it fresh every day. But there are some times where we can't work things out, and it seems like that we don't have a voice at the table. We're not being listened to. I will tell you this, the idea that Buckhead would divorce Atlanta, and that we've been talking about this for over a year now, and for the city of Atlanta to say, wow, that would bankrupt Atlanta, it would hurt our bonds, there'd be a tidal wave, the little kids in the school will be forever damaged. The fact that they have not even called us to talk to us about staying together is very telling. It's very disturbing. We would love to meet with Atlanta and talk about these things, but they haven't reached out to us. And I think that says a lot. I think that tells the people of Buckhead that they really don't care about Buckhead, that they only care about the money that is going to City Hall. And that's a shame, because I think this will, one, initially be very disturbing for the city of Atlanta, for Buckhead to depart. I do think at the end of the day, Dr. Richey, this will actually help Atlanta. And I'd love to talk to you about that, because I see what you do with your foundation. I'm working on many things with a very interesting and diverse cultural group to try to bring some help to the inner city here in Atlanta once we get this up and running.
All right, so and I appreciate everything you said. Let me correct you on the numbers. So Buckhead is not the most diverse. Based on the last count, and you may have different numbers, Buckhead is 77.5% white. It is 11% black, 6% Asian, 3% other, and 2.2% two or more races.
Yeah, those numbers are from 10 years ago. The new numbers coming out with the current census, it's okay. It's a little bit of an adjustment. But the point is, we are really experiencing incredible issues from a standpoint of our taxes going up, from there being a lack of any control with the crime that's going on in Buckhead. And I also think that when you look at the crime is colorblind. It is really affecting all people of all types, all walks of life, all cultures, and everybody, including South Atlanta, everybody I talk to down there, including the religious leaders and the community leaders, all they want is literally they want more police on the street. And it's so hard to hire a police officer in Atlanta right now. It's very difficult when 300 of the officers have quit in the last 12 months. It's very difficult to explain that the remaining officers, while violent crime is through the roof in Atlanta, arrests are down. So let's, Mr. Chairman, let's definitely talk about that. You know this because you work in the space of
reform and remedy. You cannot arrest yourself out of socioeconomic dysfunction. That many of the crimes that you're referring to, especially the ones that are highlighted as crimes of note, are burglaries, thefts, and then you have violent crimes, which typically have been more random in scope than targeted arguments at the local mall, Lenox and Buckhead, and other places. Well, if you're talking about a socioeconomic dynamic, right? How do you hire more cops to control that or to stop it? Remember, cops are reactionary agents to crime. They do not prevent crime by themselves. So if you're saying, well, we need to hire more cops and that's the issue and that's why crime is going up, and that has, and I'm not saying you're saying that, I am saying it is the narrative. And I've moderated multiple Atlanta mayoral debates, and everyone from Buckhead that's running for mayor, which is ironic to me because if you all become a city, they can't be mayor of Atlanta anymore. Everyone who's running for mayor from Buckhead, running for mayor of Atlanta, they're saying hire more cops. Even the former mayor has a hire more cops plan. But where's the rest of it, brother? Where's the let's target the underlying conditions that lead to the criminality that we see in the first place? Where's that at?
Okay, so two things on that, and I think it's very important that you point that out, is one of the things that you've heard is you can't arrest yourself out of the problem. I will share with you, this is my personal feeling, that we haven't had enough arrests yet. That's number one. Number two, you cannot institute law enforcement and to hope that people will comply with the law when you make announcements like our current mayor has made and that the current police department has made. So number one, they have said we do not arrest shoplifters at any of these malls.
So let me provide some context of that for those who are watching. So one, I understand your thoughts and your feelings, but let me give you some facts. Chicago has more police officers than in the history of its charter. They have more cops, and those cops are paid more money than they have ever been paid before. Chicago still has one of the highest unsolved or non-solved rates as far as murder and violent crimes, and crime continues to increase in Chicago because they have not dedicated the political and financial resources to attack in a smart way the issues that lead to that crime in the first place. They are not able, with more cops, more arrests, more money, more in salary, to decrease the crime in Chicago. So that's allow me to finish, sir. That is a fact.
Actually, you interrupted me. So what?
Well, sir, it's my show, Mike. It's my show, Bill. Excuse me.
You're gonna cut me off. This will end pretty quick.
Well, sir, if you want to listen here, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
You say, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, sir.
Arrest shoplifters.
Mr. Chairman.
What goes up in Buckhead
Mr. Chairman
is shoplifting, Rashad.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to continue what I was saying. Now, I want to remind you and everyone else.
You're not going to cut
when
me my point.
That's fine, sir. You can take your toys and run home. Run to Buckhead if you want to. I can definitely get you back on the show at a later time if you don't want to stay here. But in part, when I have these, sir, will you allow me a few minutes on my show, sir? Will you allow me 1 minute at least?
You were having me on as a guest on your show.
I am. I do have you on as a guest. You're being disrespectful.
Allow me to finish my sentence.
I will allow you to finish, sir, but I wanted to point something out.
Go ahead.
The reason why I wanted to point something out, number one, when I have these debates, I have to play part moderator because I am the host of the show and part debater. So respect that element of the program. I will always give you enough time to fully rebuttal whatever I say. When you said that the city of Atlanta has said they are not going to arrest shoplifters, that is a misrepresentation of what the former chief said, the current chief has said, and others who work in city council.
So
what they have said, sir, what they have said, okay, what they have said is that these businesses, which by the way, the city of Buckhead increases by twice or three times population every day because over 90% of the folks that are in Buckhead travel to Buckhead and then they travel out of Buckhead. So it's one of those kind of cities. So what they've said is that they will not allocate inappropriate resources, meaning a huge flux in resources when these private companies are well in position to hire private security as it relates to crimes like shoplifting and theft to secure their own property. They said something very similar to other parts of the city as well, because they are trying to tackle some of the more violent crimes that take place. I understand shoplifting and theft is a big deal, but these stores, which are the richest in the city, these stores do have the ability to hire a security guard to have a presence there. That's what chief of police said in the press conference that she gave before she resigned.
Yeah, right. So will you allow me to address that?
Yep.
Okay, so number one, they announced they're not arresting shoplifters, and that's not what they're saying is, hey, let's let the security companies do it. The security companies do not have arrest power. So those folks who are being stopped for shoplifting are immediately released by the security company out of the building. And unfortunately, those people come right back because they know there's no law enforcement behind that. They're not being prosecuted. They're not being arrested. So what goes up in Buckhead?
All right, once again, misleading. Security officers do have the right in the city of Atlanta to detain.
No, but they are not. They are not doing that at those malls.
Okay, they're not being. They don't have arrest powers, sir. No security guard has arrest powers without being post-certified.
So the shoplifting goes up and the shoplifting continues, and people now are not going to those malls, and the malls are going.
So you want to leave the city of Atlanta because of shoplifters in the mall?
The second thing is that she has a policy where she says you do not chase any felonious activity in a car. So you know what goes up in Buckhead? Carjackings. So carjackings are through the roof. I know my sister-in-law was at a gas station, an incident happened. People I know who've been carjacked at gunpoint. And so if you let the criminals know that carjackers will not be chased, guess what goes up, Rashad, in Buckhead? Carjackings. If you understand about the noise abatement issues on Far Road and Peachtree Road, nobody's sleeping in Buckhead. So you could have a $2,000 apartment or a $20 million house, and you're not sleeping well because the street racers and the drag racers and the cruisers are coming to Atlanta, putting holes in their mufflers and driving back and forth up and down everybody's road, keeping everybody up at night. Now, Buckhead City, let me tell you a couple of things. You're going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for shoplifting. If you are carjacked.
Prosecuted by who?
By the Buckhead City Court, not Fulton County.
Sir.
Fulton County.
Sir, the crimes that you're talking about.
Step into the pen and hear the undisputable facts. You will be prosecuted by the Buckhead City Court.
Allow me to respond.
Sure.
You all have a plan to create a police force. You all have a plan, right?
And a court system and 4 judges, and we're contracting with the jail about 4 hours south of here.
Okay, you all have a plan to coordinate a judicial system. And by statute of Georgia, your city court is called a limited jurisdiction court.
Municipal court, right.
That's correct, brother. Which means the crimes that you're telling me about won't even fall under the jurisdiction of the court you are proposing to create. No, it will go back to Fulton County. Go ahead.
Yeah, we won't be arresting you for those things, though. We'll be arresting you for municipal violations, and therefore we can sentence you to time and send you out of Buckhead to jail.
No, sir, you can't do a damn thing, sir. No. You're not a judge, nor a prosecutor. Well, you can do nothing. Now,
I can tell you what Buckhead City judges are gonna do.
Okay, that's what you believe. You don't even have a Buckhead City judge. You got somebody in mind already? That's against the law, brother. You already got them picked out?
Yeah, I've talked to the 4 judges that we're talking to about.
So you're already telling judges that they are going to be appointed?
I'm talking to everybody that's interested in making.
Okay, you realize that's a violation of the ethical code, correct?
Code. Yep, that's not a violation of any code. You're incorrect.
Brother, I will send you the code. You're already engaging judges who will be appointed that have to go through a process of appointment from a mayor, council, and a vote. You, who hold no position in the city government structure whatsoever, you're telling me that you are choosing the judges who will sit on the bench in Buckhead, correct?
No, I said I'm talking to judges who would be interested in seeing Buckhead safe and prosperous. Yes.
What will your position be if there is a city of Buckhead?
I don't know. What would you like me to do?
You want to be mayor?
Listen, I think whoever the mayor is has got to be somebody that has the shared values of putting the smackdown on this crime and leading Buckhead forward with growing prosperously and lovingly with its sister city, the city of Atlanta.
What are you going to do to address, as we talked about, underlying issues? Because once again, you cannot arrest yourself out of a socioeconomic dysfunction. And I know many of your fellow colleagues on your committee, and some that are a part of other committees that have a very similar scope. And we have talked about what to do to address especially youth-related violence at a court level rather than criminalization.
You know, that's something I would love to come meet with you on. And
okay.
I would love to get you involved in what we're doing. I love your amazing CV, your bio. You are part of the fabric of this great community. You are a thought leader. You are a very inspiring person to me. I'm afraid next time I might need to bring the boxing gloves.
Never that, brother. Never that, man.
Sure. But for instance, with the Water Boys, we are talking with some very interesting people who are interested in keeping these young men and women who are out on our streets being pimped by these street gangs from having to go out there, maybe giving them a different path. There's a lot of money in Buckhead, and there's a lot of lovely people in Atlanta and Buckhead who would love to help these children. And I know that you're one of them.
Yep.
And I would like to be one of those people too, first and foremost.
Here's what I want to do, and thank you for saying that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for saying that, because you know I've worked with the Atlanta Water Boys. I was front and center when they were talking about locking them up. I said, no, you can't talk about locking anybody up when you have disrupted all opportunity for them and you're not providing another solution. And we're in the middle of a pandemic and all they're trying to do is get the lights cut back on, okay? Yeah. So you and I.
You partnered with me on that, at least that part. If we do get up and running, we're gonna need help, and I'm gonna be the first guy to call you.
So let's do this, brother. I wanna make sure you exchange numbers with me. So I'm gonna ask you to stay beyond the show to do that, because I'm gonna follow up with you directly. And I'm glad you said that, because at least that's a commonality we can all agree to, right?
Yes, sir. And I mean that from the heart. Thank you.
I know you do. That's why I'm actually asking you to stay beyond the show so we can exchange information.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on Indisputable.
Love your show. Thank you, sir.